This is Brian, and this is Sarah, and we are Khaki Shorts. We have going to give you a little update from our last video about the coronavirus in Japan. We are actually sitting in our room in the Grand Hyatt Incheon, which is near Seoul, South Korea. So we're going to kind of give you a little update of what's been happening in Japan since our last video, and also here. So stick around. This is Khaki Shorts, where we cover travel, food, and just utter nonsense. So since the last video we did, what has changed in Japan? What did we experience in Japan that's changed since our last one?
We spent about 10 days in Tokyo, and then the last 2 in the Osaka, Kyoto area. We started finding out that Disneyland was closed. We made it just in time.
Yeah,
that was our reason for the trip.
Yeah, that was the whole reason we came, was to do Disney Sea and Tokyo Disneyland, and we found out after we went to both of those that they were closing both of them down for about 2 weeks.
But to be honest, they were crazy, mad, crowded.
Yeah, it was really busy at both of them, so I guess it was more of they just didn't want that many people
in one place.
Yeah, I think the Japanese government was asking big places that had like that for them to shut down.
And then we went to Mikata, I think, for the Ghibli Museum. We were stupid. We didn't check, so we took the train there, and it took us. We were like in the Ueno area, so Ueno, from Ueno to there was about 45 minutes, multiple train transfers. We get there and it's closed due to the coronavirus. It'll be closed until mid-March, I believe.
Mid-March, March 17th or something like that, about 3 weeks.
So it's a waste of time.
That was kind of a bummer. That's definitely something we wanted to do and couldn't do because of the coronavirus.
Right. And then as we went to Osaka and Kyoto, we were hearing that museums were being closed. So like the National Museum.
The Tokyo National Museum. I think the National Museum in Osaka was closing. Right. A lot of the museums are closing down.
The schools were closing.
Japan was closing their schools, their public schools.
A few weeks. Some of the places like the temples and stuff, I think they were, when we were in Kyoto, they were all open. They weren't closed due to the coronavirus or anything. We actually saw more tourists in Kyoto area, the Dotonbori area, and the Kyoto area. There are a lot more tourists there than I saw in Tokyo.
Yeah, I think so too. Or maybe we were just going to areas that seemed to have more tourists than in Tokyo. But yeah, we saw, I mean, it wasn't a ton. We still didn't see a lot of Chinese tourists.
We saw one tour group in Kyoto. Well, we weren't at the temple side. We were at the bamboo forest side, the Arashiyama side. And we saw one group of tourists, and I think they were Thai.
Yeah, they were either Thai or Malaysian, so it wasn't Chinese tourists because they're really not coming to Japan at all.
There were some more in Kyoto and Osaka. I mean, I could hear it when I was walking in the streets. I could hear people speaking Chinese.
So we spent 2 days there, and then we had to fly, actually today, this morning, we flew from Osaka to Seoul, South Korea.
Right, and because we were on Korean Airlines trying to get back to Atlanta. Had I realized that this was going to be a whole big issue, I probably would not have booked Korean Air. And the way that their flights work, flights to Korea always have to transfer through Seoul, and there's no, 2-hour layover. It's always overnight layover, so we're stuck here for a night.
Yeah, so we pretty much, when we came in
ICN, Seoul, the Seoul airport.
Yeah, this is pretty much the airport for Seoul. When we came in, they definitely had the heat cameras up so they could check people coming in to see if they had a fever.
Everyone had masks on the plane.
On the plane, 90% of the people, I'd say.
The plane was, so it was from Osaka to Seoul, and it was maybe 20-30%
Yeah, maybe 30% full.
Yeah,
and 90% of the people had masks on.
Right.
Yeah, we heard a little bit of coughing, but nothing made. I didn't sound like somebody was like really hacking away.
But now it's like.
Yeah, every time you hear somebody cough or sneeze, you're like,
where
are they? Mask on. Yeah. So we actually wore our masks from the time we got into the airport until we left the airport here. The
only time we had to take it off was through immigration.
Yeah, immigration, and also when we ate or drank something, we took it off. But yeah, yeah, when we came through immigration, you had to take it off to check it against your picture with the passport. They had a sign here at the Seoul airport that said, please, if you're going to talk to us, put your mask on. We don't want to spread this. At the information
put
desk.
Your mask on before you talk to me.
Yeah, it's like, don't come up here if you don't have a mask on, because we don't want to talk to you.
I mean, I think in South Korea, it seems like everyone has a mask on. Tokyo, the majority have a mask on, but not everybody.
Yeah, here we haven't seen any service workers, hotel, our bus driver, anyone that didn't have a mask on. And even on the bus, they had a big pump thing of hand sanitizer.
That's everywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty much everywhere. Every hotel, every restaurant, everything you get on has those. So
yeah, my hands are like super dry.
Yeah, mine are super dry too, just from using that all the time. Washing our hands. I mean, as soon as we come in from anywhere, we wash our hands good.
Because I don't trust the hand sanitizer as much.
Yeah, I don't know that you can get it down in the crevices and everything. I mean, washing your hands really good for 20 seconds with hot water is really the only way.
Yeah, so
we're really trying to be good. We are not going out anywhere.
our long flight is actually tomorrow, so I want to keep my mask on for the entire flight, but that's a long time.
Yeah, like a 13 or 14 hour flight's a long time to have that mask on.
Right.
I mean, it gets really old after a while. I mean, after you have it on for like an hour or so, you really start to smell your own breath, and it's just, it just sucks in.
But I also want to mention that the airport was deserted.
Yeah, we came out, I took a picture, and it's like, we were calling it the hot zone, like, because there's like this thing going on. But yeah, it was just dead. There was nobody. I mean, we came out, security in Osaka, we went right, I mean, there was nobody in line. When we came here, immigration and customs, there was no line. We went right through.
A lot of people have canceled their Korean and Japan trips.
A lot of because we stopped by a like a baguette bakery as soon as we got here to Seoul, and there was some workers in there that were sitting down eating, like burgers from the airport. But other than that, there's not really many people. We saw one U.S. serviceman who I guess had a flight in, who was going to a base here, but.
Oh, and then we wanted to talk about the Kyoto when we went to the bamboo forest. So originally I had wanted to go to the bamboo forest on a Friday because people would say, oh, the weekends, it's crazy crowded with locals and tourists. But for logistical reasons, we went on a Saturday. By the time we got there, it was like 11 to the bamboo forest. And we got shots of us alone. There's spurts of tourists walking through, but it was not that many, so that we actually got shots of just the two of us.
On they have these pathways that go through.
Yeah, and people are like, that's impossible to do unless you go like at 5 or 6 in the morning, and then at 11 on a Saturday, we're able to get a couple of those shots in. So that's how kind of low the tourist numbers are over there.
The streets there were pretty busy, but it was mostly Japanese.
But I can't imagine, like in some of those queues or the lines where they marked up, for you to get in line, we didn't have to stand in line for a lot of stuff.
No, not really.
Because
it's like
no one was there.
Yeah, there was nobody there. So it's kind of a good thing, but kind of a bad thing because you're having to be really careful about wearing your mask and wash your hands, and also like when you get food from a restaurant, you're wondering, is the person that prepared my food sick?
Even though I've been diligent in wearing my mask and washing my hands and not getting my hands in my face and stuff, was the person that wiped my table down, were they sick? Was the person that brought my food over, were they sick? Was the person that prepared the food, were they sick? There's no way for us to know.
There's no way to protect yourself against that. So.
Right, so if they're sick, we've got it that way.
So sitting here in our hotel, we're actually going to order room service and just eat in a room.
Yeah, so the restaurants here, because of the virus, have closed. Like
right, this is a big hotel. Yeah, it's huge, but they have a buffet and they have
closed.
The buffet's closed due to the coronavirus. The karaoke lounge is closed. The bar is closed. They have one restaurant that's still open, but some of the bigger buffets and things they've closed because one, I don't think they've got the business coming through to really support it, and two, they just don't want that many people in the area touching everything everybody else is touching. We're just doing room service. We're just going to order something and hang out in here. We got some.
This is a beautiful room, though.
Yeah, this is a nice room. I'm going to do a video about the Grand Hyatt Incheon. It's pretty cool.
Staying in the
this place is huge. Yeah, and we got a pretty good deal on it, so we'll do a video on that. But we are actually going to stay here tonight. Got to get up early in the morning and fly back to Atlanta from Incheon on our Korean Air.
Yes.
Yeah, we did not get business class this time, unfortunately. We're stuck in the very back of the plane.
But I want to know how full that plane is now.
Yeah, I'm curious because we thought it would be very full.
But it might be because I've heard a lot of people are trying to get out. US carriers have cut flights to Korea, but Korean Airlines, one of the few that are still flying.
Right. So I think if people are trying to get out of here back to the States.
One thing to keep in mind is that, so we thought, we'll just do our trip and we'll just be careful and diligent in keeping ourselves safe, mask on. I mean, when I brought the mask, I kind of brought it as a joke. I didn't think we would be really wearing them, and we ended up really using them. We thought that we would just do our trip and then hopefully not get sick and then get home and then go around, go back to work, go back to doing whatever we do. But apparently people have work policies now in place. My daughter goes to high school, and the school districts put in a policy where if the student or a family member of the student has just returned from Korea or Japan or one of these areas that the coronavirus is happening in, that the student is supposed to notify the school. The student is not allowed to go back to school for 14 days. They have to, do their work from home, do online work, sort of a self-quarantine with the family member that's returning from these areas. I have an adult daughter who lives at home, and her work policy is also the same, where if she had a relative or family member returning home from one of these zones, that she has to work from home for 14 days.
Right.
So realize if you do come to Japan or Korea and you're not here to see the stuff that's closed, you have other stuff to do or that you want to do, when you go back home, if you have kids in school or you have spouses or relatives that live in the same household as you, you may be affecting them in terms of whether or not they can go back to work or school.
Right. Yeah, I think the environment in the U.S. has changed a lot just in the 2 weeks that we've been gone.
Since we've been here.
I think it was kind of like coronavirus is in Asia. It's not affecting us. It's not a big deal. And I think now people are starting to almost panic a little bit. Right. Masks are selling out. Hand sanitizers selling. We had somebody.
Runs.
Yeah, people at Costco are buying toilet paper because I guess there's some Chinese factories that are like shutting down that make toilet paper, and they're afraid they're going to run out.
That's over here.
Yeah, in Japan, the Japanese Costco ran out of toilet paper because they were afraid they weren't going to get more.
We were just at Costco a few days ago.
Yeah, and there was plenty of stuff. So it's like it's really ramped up the panic over this. Yeah.
In hindsight, probably not the best time to come here. But...
No, I mean, but it really, when we left on this trip, it was not to this extent. It was not that. It was in China was this level, but not here because. In South Korea, where we are now, when we left, it was at a level 1, and they were just starting to get some cases.
What are they, 4 now?
It's at a level 4 now, which is like if you're in the U.S., it says don't travel there.
After that last.
Oh, his last press conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trump had a press conference and said and we were on the plane about to fly here and read that that he had raised it to a level 4. So. And
then Brian's trying to find out if he can go back to work, and I'm
trying to find out if I can go back to work. They kind of want me to stay home for a week. Not really quarantine, but just to see if I have any symptoms. Because I mean, neither one of us are feeling sick. Knock on wood, and we're hoping we're not sick.
And how does it work when you transit through Korea? You're not really visiting Korea, but you technically are in Korea for less than 20 hours. Right. So how does that work in terms of, do I have to self-quarantine, or am I just self-monitoring? I can still go out and do stuff.
Right. So I
have no idea.
Yeah, I think we're going to be really careful. We're going to try to stay at a different house, like just the two of us. Maybe have somebody go shopping for us, just drop things off. We're bringing gifts back from this trip. We're going to have to either just like literally drive to somebody's house, put it on their front porch and call them and go, look, get at this stuff off your porch because we can't come in and see you.
Right.
So we're being careful too. I mean, we don't think we're sick, and I'm really hoping we're not. I don't think we are, but we don't want to give the chance of, I mean, I have a nephew who's like
2.
He's like 2 years old. I don't want any chance that I'm giving him anything, because you can be asymptomatic, not have any symptoms and have this.
What's scary.
Right.
They could develop later, so.
Right. So
I mean, it is like the flu, but.
So we're gonna hang out in our room, have some room service, and then we're gonna catch the shuttle bus back to the airport in the morning, go back through security and customs and all that, and then we're going to catch our flight and come home and kind of quarantine ourselves for about 7 days and see what happens. So
extend our vacation.
Right. So if you're in this part of the world, be safe. If you're in the U.S., just because you're in the U.S. doesn't mean that it can't spread there, because people there don't wash their hands any better than anywhere else.
Just take your normal flu season precautions.
Right. Which, I mean, the flu seems like it's worse than this is, but this kind of has more hype. So I think I actually read somewhere that the cases of flu had gone down because more people were washing their hands and wearing masks and not spreading it as much. Yeah. So at least that's a good thing. So, all right, thanks for watching, and we are going to go have some tasty room service and get some rest and fly back to the U.S. tomorrow.
Yay, room service.
Yay, room service.